sides of the step up, you know, really, as I said, the toughest test on paper so far has been Sam Maxwell. And with all due respect to him, Peter is levels and levels above Sam Maxwell. So sometimes you bring a fighter over and it's a clever bit of matchmaking, but it's never a clever bit of matchmaking when you're in with a puncher. And Zepeda is a huge puncher, and Dalton is exciting. Sometimes he gets hit a bit too much as well, and I think it's a massive test. I think people also are probably missing out on the fact that, you know, being for the WBC silver title, we all know that that belt is likely to become vacant in the next 6 months, and I think there's a very good chance Dalton could get a shot against Sandor Martin for the vacant belt.
And just this week we had Canelo McGee at the press conference. They faced off. The fight's official. What do you make of that fight for Canelo?
It's a good fight. You know, we talked to him about doing that fight. I think PBC obviously had a contract with him and made him a good offer. Once we got the fight on DAZN as well, you know, they liked their position in the fight, and I think it's a good fight. I think I don't think it really got the excitement yesterday that the fight will deliver. I do think it's the first time in a long time that Canelo has fought a young, hungry, undefeated fighter who I think will give it everything. And I think the style will suit Canelo, and I think that's the kind of fight that he wants to be in. Someone that actually comes to fight him rather than moving around, and you know, I think it'll be a good fight. Who
do you favour in that fight?
Always favour Canelo, you know, but I do think it'll be very competitive. It's just when you get to that stage in a career, like, I know, having spoken to him, how hungry he still is and how much he still wants it, but sometimes your body doesn't allow you to do things that, and sooner or later you could lose a fight that you're not supposed to lose. I don't think this will be the case, but that's what happens as the career progresses.
One of the opponents that a lot of fans were clamoring for was David Benavidez. We asked Canelo at the presser about David Benavidez. He said, if they make me an offer for 150 million to 200 million for that fight, I'll take it. What do you make of that comment?
I think it was probably a little bit tongue-in-cheek, because I know Sal will fight anybody, but he also knows that that's a big fight, and it is a massive fight. It's one of the biggest in boxing. And if you pay Sal the right money, he will take the fight. Whether that's 150 might be a little bit adventurous, but also I think, you know, his comments about the hydration, I think that's in his mind as well. You know, you're talking about a guy that will hydrate somewhere between 25 and 30 pounds. So he's not going to be a million miles away from 200 pounds in the ring. He'll have at least a stone on Canelo. So it's a tough fight. And yeah, the thing is, I don't think Sal really gives a shit what people think. You know, he's done pretty well for himself, and he's kind of also earned the right to fight who he wants. But I know he's not afraid to fight, and hopefully that fight gets made, because it's a very big fight.
Yeah, in other news, Keith Thurman got injured, had to pull out of that fight. Now Tim Tszю's fighting Sebastian Fundora, the new main event, still on pay-per-view. What do you make of that?
Wild. I mean, to think that Tim Tszyu against Sebastian Fundora is on pay-per-view is mad. By the way, I don't mind the fight. I hated the Thurman fight, but I think Keith Thurman has zero appetite for boxing. Maybe that's why he's out of the fight. And Tim Tszyu is really exciting, but no one knows who Tim Tszyu is in America. And Fundora's just got sparked. I mean, how that fight can be for a unification after he's just got knocked clean out, I don't really know, but good luck to him. Yeah. You know, it's a big opportunity for Tim Tszyu, who I do think is really exciting. I would like to see Tim Tszyu against Israel Madrimov in a unification. I think that'd be a great fight.
Since Terence Crawford has put that to the WBO that he wants to fight the winner of this fight, right? Whoever holds the WBO strap. If Terence Crawford fights one of these guys, Tim Tszyu or Fundora, how do you see that fight going? Do you think it'll be that?
Yeah, I mean, Tim Tszyu will beat Fundora. Tim Tszyu can fight. Yeah. He can fight. I mean, he's not, you know, I don't think he beats Terence Crawford, but he's a strong young boy who's, you know, very exciting. There's money in Australia for those kind of fights. It's just that Terence Crawford, you know, the numbers that he wants for those fights, I don't really know how you generate it on a pay-per-view that just doesn't rate. But it's a good fight. Crawford is a very good fight.
Yeah. Just want to jump in. Conor Benn, I want to ask about his career and how that's going, and also, is it going to be Manny Pacquiao next? Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, a lot depends on where he's going to fight, you know, and we want to fight in the UK, but we'll find out soon whether that's going to be possible. The Manny Pacquiao fight is there. to be done. We know the numbers needed to make the fight, and it's very makeable. You know, I think Eubank, I'm not getting involved in that anymore, but Frank Smith is, and still very keen to make that fight. Kell Brook, other fights as well. But our aim really over the next couple of weeks is just to get those fights in position and then decide where they're going to take place. Because obviously money changes depending on where the fights take place. But, you know, keen to box in June or July.
So talking about the Manny Pacquiao situation, I want to move over just a little bit to the side. Do you think it's right that Conor fights him? I think Conor's young, hungry, vicious, and could potentially do a lot of damage, the same as I see the Jake Paul Tyson, Mike Tyson fight. Do you think that's really...
Mike Tyson's 58 years old. He hasn't had a competitive fight for over 20 years. And Manny Pacquiao fought 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, something like that, and has been fighting these, you know, exhibition fights as well. Also, Conor Benn has never beaten an elite world level fighter and just boxed Pete Dobson, who Manny Pacquiao would destroy, and didn't destroy him. So it would be, even as a faded Manny Pacquiao, which he definitely is, the toughest fight of Conor's career so far. And I'm very glad that he's not a prime Manny Pacquiao, because he was one of the greatest fighters of the generation.
If Dalton wins this weekend, is the Adam Azim fight still on the cards for after?
I mean, we've been told by Boxer that Azim is not taking the fight, but they haven't pulled out the purse bids yet. I guess because they've got a fight week next week, and because of Saturday night, that they'll pull out today or tomorrow, because it sort of solves the questions. But if they don't, I just don't know what the play is. If Dalton wins on Saturday, we're looking at world level, not Adam Azim, but we'll 100% still take the fight, because we're very confident we win it, and it's a big fight commercially. Still does a good gate, does good viewing figures, but they just, you know, the only way they might take that fight is if Dalton got beat or got dropped and scraped a decision on Saturday night. But if he wins in style, there is absolutely no way Adam Azim will fight him.
Which fight are you looking forward to the most at the weekend?
Campbell Hatton against Jimmy Joe Flynn.
It's going to be a scrap,
I mean,
innit?
like, you know, and I've got to be honest, I'm really nervous for Campbell, because imagine all that pressure where really, if he gets beat on Saturday night, obviously his career's not over, but the trajectory is completely different. You're losing for the Central Area title. He's 14-0. So you can't say he hasn't had the apprenticeship, he hasn't had the opportunity to learn. But sometimes you're just not good enough. I actually think he's going to stop Jimmy Joe Flynn. I think he's going to put a really great performance in. But there's such a huge amount of pressure, because you're fighting the champion. He's sold 300 tickets. He's going to have a load of support. You know that he's going to box out of his skin, Flynn, because what a chance for him. And, you know, of course, Terry Harper against Andy Ryan as well. I'm really looking forward to that fight. And Ishmael Davis against Trot. I think it's a brilliant card. But, yeah, Campbell against Jimmy Joe Flynn, I think it'll be a lot of fun.
And just finally from me, obviously you are a huge advocate for men's mental health. A lot of people are a bit concerned about Ryan Garcia at the minute, you know, with his drinking and putting it on social media and stuff like that. Do you think we need to kind of protect him of some sorts?
I think it's down to the people that really know him and know what's actually happening. I mean, from the outset, it looks very concerning. But, you know, Oscar says he's trolling. I mean, let's be honest, he's definitely not trolling. But only they know the truth.
Yeah.
Like his trainer. I mean, Derek James, I'm pretty confident if Ryan Garcia wasn't 100% mentally and physically, the trainer should, and I would expect Derek James to, say, I'm out, or he's not fighting. Same with Golden Boy, same with the family. So you'd hope that one of those three layers would do something about it, if that was the case. But it might not be the case. And maybe he's turning up at the gym and he's fit, he's sparring well, and everyone's going, you know, but certainly the behaviour, when someone's behaviour changes so much, should always be a concern.
As an outsider, would you be concerned?
I mean, I think a lot of people have got enough going on with their life to be concerned about people you don't know. I mean, but his behaviour is concerning if it's true. And I don't see why it wouldn't be true. But again, you don't know what's happening in the gym. like, just because he's going on Twitter and having a rant, if he's turning up, doing his sessions, sparring well, weight's good, looking sharp, you know, maybe Golden Boy or the family have spoke to Derek James and gone, how's he looking in the gym? And Derek's gone, actually really good. Then all of a sudden it kind of changes the dynamic a little bit. But yeah, it is. I think also, if you're an outsider, you're probably thinking the fight's not happening. You know, but all of a sudden, what are we now? 4 weeks out. So the closer it gets, the more chance there is of the fight happening, because they would have pulled him out by now. And what would be really annoying is if they pull him out a week before the fight, because Devin is seeing all this, he's training his heart out, and he's just got to take the leap of faith that the fight is happening. And if they pull him out a week to go, it makes you feel like they've tried to keep him in the fight, which is not a good look. Because you don't try and keep someone in a fight if there is a problem like that, you know.
Thank you.
Any more movement on this Queensby versus Matchroom?
Yeah, we've done it. I mean, we've done the filming for the weights, so now myself and George are going and finding our best fighter from those weight classes, and no one will know who they are until the press conference, which will be April, I believe April the 15th. I thought it was going to get announced last week, the weight classes, but it looks like it could be the end of this week. So, but everything's fine, the date, everything, and there will be an unveiling of the fighters at that press conference where no one will know actually who they are until that press conference.
Eddie, you spoke about Campbell Hatton earlier. If he is victorious at the weekend, where do you take Campbell? Is he going to go the traditional route, or are you looking to maybe take him European?
Yeah, definitely tradition. And this is a low-level tradition. It's an area title. Sometimes people talk about British, Commonwealth, European. We're talking about Central Area, English, British, Commonwealth, European. So I like it. You know, his dad won the Central Area title 25 years ago. It's a great story. And this is, to be honest with you, level-wise, this is exactly the level he should be starting at for championship level. Pure 50-50 fight, I think. And if he can't beat Jimmy Joe Flynn, he couldn't win an English title. And if he can't win an English title, he can't win a British title, and so on. So it doesn't mean that you can't do it in the future. But there's a lot of pressure on him on Saturday night. I actually think he's going to win by stoppage. I think he's going to box really well.
And do you think that sort of having Ricky as a father is putting the extra pressure on him?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Great to open a door, but horrific. All you hear, I mean, how many press conferences have we heard, he's not his dad? Fucking hell, we get that. His dad was a legend and a very, very good fighter. And listen, maybe Campbell won't meet those levels, but he can still win a British title, European title. I mean, who knows how he's going to progress, and also, it makes you more of a target. You know that Jimmy Joe Flint has trained twice as hard for this fight because he fancies it. They all fancy they can beat Campbell Hatton. But maybe it'll be different when they get in there.
And a bit more news on Katie Taylor. We heard that she's now no longer boxing at the end of May, which I think was the proposed date. Is there any news on who she may be sort of fighting? Someone like Natasha Jonas has popped up in the last few days.
Yeah, she looks like she's going to fight in June now. We're finalising that. She could fight in America. It won't be Jonas. You know, there's been a couple of discussions with Amanda Serrano's team. I think Katie is going to fight Amanda Serrano and Chantelle Cameron this year. I truly believe that. I mean, there aren't, outside of maybe the odd mandatory, they are the fights. And they must happen, and they will happen as well. So there is a chance that, you know, maybe it could be Serrano next. And if it's not in June, maybe it could be in September, October. But, you know, we need to nail that June date, and I expect that to be done next week.
Okay.
And I was just asked one last bit on that one. If it is Serrano, will she be boxing 3-minute rounds over 12?
It will be under the rules of the Undisputed Championship, which is, of course, as we know, the WBC 2-minute rounds.
Thank you, Eddie.
Cheers.